but I want to continue our practice, and it should be a little bit of a review. These words should not be completely new to you, but I want to make sure that we all know what each of these means, because I will be asking you to identify these in a sentence. So starting with a noun, a person, place, or thing. And there are proper nouns, which have capital letters, and that might be an example like Ryan or Aiden or France. Those all are proper nouns. Common nouns are nouns that do not need a capital letter. They are things like bananas and city and person. And then we get onto our pronouns. And so pronouns are words that can replace our nouns. And so instead of saying the city, you might refer to the city as it. And so it is a pronoun. We also have he, she, they, we, our. And so you can replace in a sentence a noun with a pronoun. So let's say you were talking about a cat running away. You could say the cat ran away, or you could replace the noun, the cat, with she ran away. Now, our adjectives are words that describe a noun, and so those are things like beautiful, blue, tall. They give us a better picture of what that noun looks like. And so if we're talking about a book, you might describe that noun as being a big book or a picture book or a textbook. Those are different adjectives that would describe book. A verb is an action word or a state of being. And so if it's an action word, those are things like run, eat, sleep, draw, play, things that you can do. A state of being is if, let's say, like, if someone is being chased, that would be a state of being. They're not chasing, but they are being chased. And so that would still be a verb, a state of being. Another example of that would be if someone is smart. That's a state of being and would be considered a verb. So if I said my students are smart, the state of being would be them being smart, and so that would be the verb. Then the last one is adverbs, and those describe the verb, the action word. And they often end in ly, although they do not always end in ly. And so an example of that would be if you did something quickly, or if you did something tomorrow. Both quickly and tomorrow describe what you have done. So if you break something roughly would describe how you broke it, and so that would be an adverb. All right, so we're going to do some practice. And so we're going to start looking for the nouns, the people, the places, and the things. So this sentence is, the dog chased his ball. And so the people, places, and things in this, there are no people and there are no places, but there are a couple things. We have the dog, that's one of our things, and then the ball, that's another one of our things. So now that we've identified the nouns, we move on to our pronouns. And so those are words that stand in place or show possession of a noun. He, she, it, they, ours. There's a bunch of pronouns. And so here, the word his is a pronoun. And it shows possession. It shows that that's the dog's ball. It's his ball. Now we look for adjectives. Those are words that describe a noun. And so if we look at our nouns, the dog and ball, there really aren't any words that describe them, but some scholars and academics consider that pronoun his to be a possessive adjective because it describes the ball. It shows that it is the dog's ball, which gives us more information. But we just consider it a pronoun because that is getting a little too deep thinking. We're going to consider his as a pronoun instead of a possessive adjective. Now we look for our verbs, words that show action. And so in this sentence, it's chased. It is what the dog did. It is the action that the dog is doing. And there are no adverbs in this sentence. We've covered all of the words in this sentence, and so we know that there are no adverbs left. So let's try practicing that again on one sentence that's a little bit more complex. So we start with our nouns. And so people, places, and things. So there are no people in this, there are no places, but there is a thing, and that is the project. That is the noun. Now we look for our pronouns, and so those could be, replaced with nouns, and so those words are like he, she, it, they, ours, and here the pronoun that we see, there are two. We worked quietly on our science project. So we and our are the pronouns in this sentence. And we know that they're pronouns because we could replace this with, so instead of we, it could be, my partner and I, or, Joshua and Jeremy worked quietly. It could be replaced with nouns and still make sense, so it's a pronoun. And then similarly, we worked quietly on, our science project. That shows possession of that science project. It shows whose science project it is. So now we look for our adjectives, and those describe nouns. So we look for our nouns, and then we see what words might describe that noun. And so in this case, science describes the project. It describes what kind of project it is. So science is our adjective in this sentence. And then we look for our verbs, words that show action, and so the action in this sentence is worked. That's what is being done in this sentence. Then the last thing is adverbs. And these are words that describe verbs. So we look for our verb and we see which words might describe that verb. And so how did they work? They worked quietly. And then we know that adverbs sometimes, but don't always, end in ly. So that can also help us identify this as an adverb. So now it is time for you to complete the Google form on the parts of speech. You will have some sentences and you will have to identify the nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs in those sentences. So I'd recommend opening this presentation in split screen and having the slide that has all of the definitions of the parts of speech open to help you with that Google form. And if you have any questions, leave a private comment on the remote slides assignment, or you can email me, and there's my email written there. All right, talk to you tomorrow.